Okay, so there's no denying that when it comes to any story within any medium, one of the major factors that can make or break that narrative is definitely the plot twist. A plot twist can literally make a franchise fandom go from hating the series to loving the series. In general, a plot twist is a game changer, essentially. And so here I'm about to list 10 different plot twists within manga that went absolutely crazy and essentially changed the stories of the manga that they were in. Starting off with number 10. Okay, so this was a plot twist that while some fans may say they seen coming, I personally think that the author did an incredible job at landing it at the right time. And what I'm referring to is the major reveal within Black Clover of Julius Novachrona's identity of who he's been throughout the entirety of the series, or at the very least half of him, when we find out that he's actually being possessed by Lucius Zogratis, one of the brothers of the Zogratis family, basically related to the Dark Triad. And if you're following Black Clover manga at that time in particular, this reveal comes right after one of the battles that a lot of people were not too fond of, the battle against Lucifero. At that particular point in the manga, a lot of people were very disappointed with the story. They were very disappointed with the battle, about how Lucifero was defeated. They felt it was very easy. They felt that there wasn't a challenge. And then right after that, the author Yuki Tabata drops a bombshell on our heads with the reveal that Lucius Zogratis has been controlling Julius all this time. And you could definitely see that there was foreshadowing there, going earlier into the story, back with the stuff with Lit and all of the confusion and the mystery of who was behind the Eye of the Midnight Sun. At that point, a lot of people assumed that Julius was going to reveal that he was a part of this whole situation all along. Because again, Yuki Tabata left a certain mystique about Julius. While he appears to be noble and righteous and just in general a great leader, ultimately there always felt like there was something that was not being said regarding his character. It led into a time skip, it changed the perception of Black Clover, and ultimately restored the faith in the franchise that yes, Yuki Tabata may have made some stuff that wasn't to the best of liking to the fandom, but ultimately when it came to a plot twist, he rattled the world of Black Clover. So that's why I definitely had to put it on my list. And quickly hit that subscribe button and that bell. I'd greatly appreciate it, and you get more epic videos like this one. Thank you so much. Coming in at number 9 is a moment from the manga Claymore. In particular, the battle between Teresa and Priscilla. Because Priscilla was tasked with the objective of taking out Teresa, and despite the fact that they had an epic battle, Teresa still overcame her with pretty much ease. I think she only used like 10% of her Yoma power and was able to take Priscilla out. However, opposed to completely eliminating Priscilla, Teresa felt empathy and actually let her live and was trying to proceed out of the village with Claire. And this moment right here, I tell you, shocked me beyond belief. Because despite the fact that Teresa showed mercy to Priscilla, Priscilla used that opportunity to use a sneak attack, essentially cutting off Teresa's hands and head, setting forth the main character Claire onto a journey and a quest of vengeance. And honestly, I still to this day can't believe how that transpired, because legit you never would have expected for Priscilla to actually take it that far. I mean, just earlier on in the battle when Priscilla was with her group, they had planned to utilize an attack where they would basically get Teresa from behind, and Priscilla was talking about that wasn't honorable. So for her to turn around at a moment of Teresa showing her mercy and go through with that, yeah, Claymore definitely went there. And even though people don't really talk about Claymore all like that, it definitely had one heck of a twist that left a lot of fans like, oh Claire, you gotta get Priscilla, you gotta get her. Coming in at number 8 is a plot twist from a classic series that to this day I'm still like, wow. Because any fans of Yu Yu Hakusho know that while there were several plot twists within the series, there were a few that was just like major bombshells, and again just made you look at things in a different perspective. And the plot twist I'm referring to in particular is regarding Shinobu Sensui, and finding out that while all along we thought we was going after these people that he was rocking with, Game Master, all of these people that he had essentially utilizing as like soldiers for his purpose, when he was speaking about 7 different people, he was talking about himself. Finding out the plot twist that Shinobu Sensui has 7 different personalities, and it actually morphs even his physical body depending on the personality that he's inhabiting. Even during the battle against Yusuke Urameshi, when he actually reached his main true self, it was insane and just showcased yet again a whole other level of bizarre when it came to Shinobu. But at the same time, it demonstrated that this entire arc, the people that we thought we was going up against, we was really only going up against one guy with a bunch of different personalities that was incredibly and insanely strong. Coming in at number 7, I think was one of the most brilliant ways to make a character reach his goal, his main objective for the entire story. Because with Hunter x Hunter, one of the things most fans understand from the very beginning of the story is the fact that Gon Freaks is on a quest. He's looking for his father, Jing Freaks. And throughout the story, you get little different messages. Jing left for Gon so he could kind of, you know, seek him out, so to speak. And then boom, you get to the election arc all the way towards the end of of the story, or well, technically it wasn't the end of the story, but basically the story that the anime covered. But we're talking manga here. And the twist of the century is the fact that Gon meets Jing on accident. Literally throughout the entire story, you're always in the back of your mind thinking, man, the day that Gon meets Jing is going to be the most craziest thing. It's going to be some major lead up, and because of things going in a disarray, Jing's whole plan of how he was going to eventually be met by Gon goes up in flames, and essentially Jing and Gon meet on accident. And while some fans might have been expecting or hoping for something more grandiose, I think that it was a major subversion to the narrative and in general shonen writing to have this kid that's been hunting his father this entire time trying to find him. And honestly, to me, that's brilliant. That's subversive. That's different. Everything doesn't need to be the biggest and most grandiose build up, and it just kind of happened. So personally for me, that was epic, that was awesome, and I think Yoshihiro Togashi did something that most authors wouldn't dare to do, and it worked out very well. Coming in at number 6, I guarantee majority of people wouldn't put on their list because you don't really think about this as a plot twist, considering most people in North America were introduced to Dragon Ball from a different perspective. In North America, most fans got into Dragon Ball via Dragon Ball Z first, with Goku already being an adult, going up against his brother Raditz, him being a Saiyan. We didn't take into account that if you would have watched Dragon Ball, you would take things in from a total different perspective. And when I'm referring to Dragon Ball, I mean OG Dragon Ball, the portion of the manga before it gets to the Z aspect. Finding out that Goku is actually an alien from outer space from a planet called Vegeta. Just think about it for a second. You're watching the entirety of OG Dragon Ball. You're understanding that Goku is a special kid. He was born with a tail that when he sees the full moon, he turns into a giant ape called Uzuru. So we always knew that there was something different about Goku, but we never understood to what magnitude, because we never really had some alien invasion type of story arc. I guess you could kind of count Piccolo like that, but Piccolo was more introduced initially as like a demon until later on in the story in Z, where he kind of was recontextualized as the Namekian. But Goku being an alien after 153 episodes, finding out he's from another planet, that's why he turns into an ape when the moon is full. That's a huge deal. That literally changes the entirety of how you look at the character and who he is, and recontextualizes even his purpose. So while most of us don't necessarily look at that as a major plot twist, because again, we were introduced to Goku during the Z portion when he already is known to be a Saiyan. If you would have read it from Dragon Ball to this point, you would probably look at it as, oh my god, this is huge. Coming in at number 5, this series has a few different plot twists that I could have picked from, but the one that I decided to go with was something that happened a little earlier on in the series, and to this day is one of the things that helped to build a villain that most people look at as a classic villain in shonen manga history. Because in Bleach, during the Soul Society, one of the biggest things that really took people out was when we find out all along Aizen wasn't dead. He faked it, and he essentially took some of the captains with him and dipped out of Soul Society and was branded a traitor. It went so well with Ishikai finding out that it had a power of hypnosis to make people see things in a different light, and just in general, Aizen tricked the entire Serite. Like, just think about it for a second. All these incredibly powerful beings, all-knowing beings to a certain degree, and the Serite couldn't figure out Aizen all along was playing them like a fiddle. And so while Bleach definitely had some crazy plot twists, I think the Aizen plot twist was one of the first ones that changed the entirety of the story, because following that, up until the 1,000-Year Blood War, we're basically facing against this guy that tricked everyone from the beginning. Number 4 for me was a personal pick that I do think a lot of people will stand by, even if you're not necessarily the biggest fan of this franchise. Ultimately, number 4, I had to go with something that happened more recent, and I'm referring to the massive swap via omnipotence that happened in the Boruto manga. When Kawaki made that wish to Ada and transformed everyone's perspective into thinking that Boruto was essentially a bad guy. He was Kawaki, he killed the Hokage, and Kawaki was the son of Naruto. He's Kawaki Uzumaki. Literally, you would have never expected for the Boruto story to ever even attempt to go that route, because it wasn't within the stretch of imagination of actually doing something that some might perceive as a Deus Ex Machina, but just in general, it rattled the whole entire story and put Boruto on a different path altogether, giving the main character one of the biggest hurdles possible of the entire village that he loves and cares about, looking at him as if he's the bad guy when in fact he's Boruto Uzumaki, the son of the Hokage. I can't stress enough how much that plot twist changed the story. It led to the sequel to Blue Vortex, and honestly I think it revitalized the story for a lot of fans that may have felt like, okay, where is all this headed towards? Now this third one is one that many fans probably would have on their list, because it's just one of the most brutal, crazy, violent, and just in general, oh my god, I can't believe that happened moment in all of manga. If you've ever heard anything about about Berserk, then immediately your mind goes to, oh my god, what Griffith did to Guts. And what I'm referring to is when Griffith did what he did to Guts and the Band of the Hawk during the eclipse. To go from admiration that he had for Guts, to go from just in general them being this tight-knit group of people, to ultimately him selling out the entirety of the Band of the Hawk. Not only did it reshape the story moving forward from what the tone felt like in the Golden Age, but just in general, you couldn't believe it. Because all in all, when Guts left the Band of the Hawk, that's what set Griffith on this path to self-destruction and ultimately what he does. But Guts wasn't without reason. Obviously, once he heard Griffith speaking about how he felt about Guts and the Band of the Hawk, Guts basically wanted to be his own man and prove to Griffith like, yo, no, I'm me, I'm my own thing, I'm gonna leave the Band of the Hawks now, and Griffith wasn't having it. And as crazy and disturbing as it was, it's definitely one of the most biggest plot twists that you was just like, wow, Griffith! Coming in at number 2 is a classic. Most Naruto fans would agree with me that this is one of the biggest plot twists in the Naruto story, and there's many different plot twists in Naruto, but this one in particular hit fans extremely hard and very different. Finding out in the end of the battle of Sasuke and Itachi that all along Itachi was not the bad person that everyone perceived him to be, and essentially he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and how he maneuvered. Because finding out that the Uchiha clan was going to rebel against the Leaf, and him playing double agent, and him just wanting essentially peace and being forced to do what he did, throughout the entire story Sasuke was looking at this guy like he was the worst person in the world, only to find out later that essentially he was like a hero to his little brother in the shadows. Anytime he would visit the Leaf, or anytime he would be seen, it was only that he was coming through to threaten people and say, y'all play with my little bro, it's over for you. And it's just crazy because from the very beginning, when we first find out Sasuke's motives, that he wants to get revenge against his older brother that did this and that and the third, only for him to find out my brother was secretly protecting me all along and really loved me, minds were blown. And that's one of the things that put Itachi Uchiha as one of the most pivotal characters in all of the Naruto franchise, and just in general to this day, one of the craziest plot twists we've seen in manga. And coming in at number 1 was a very, very tough call, because even within this franchise, within this series, there's at least 5 different plot twists that I can name off the top of my head that are some of the greatest plot twists I've ever read in any manga, even outside of its own series. Because Attack on Titan had plot twists that really blew a lot of people's minds away, like between finding out about the Titans within the walls, finding out about the whole other nation outside of Paradise Island. There was a lot of plot twists that were insane, crazy, and just in general recontextualized the story. But this plot twist in particular took it to a whole other level, because essentially when we find out that Eren has been manipulating the story from the very beginning, from the future, whether it be conversations with his father Grisha, whether it be any time that you saw something happen that was major and impactful, chances are Eren from the future was writing the story all along. So essentially this plot twist affected the past, present, and future of the story all within one, made you look at Eren Yeager as an entirely different character. And honestly, it just made a lot of people say, oh my goodness, who is this character that we've been chanting and cheering for this entire time? Because it gave you a different perspective to the Eren Yeager character, as well as not only being that guy that wants to kill all the Titans and avenge his people, but also this mastermind of fate in general, essentially almost like a god, a deity. To this day, there haven't been many plot twists that even come close to what Isayama did, with Eren Yeager being the one that was controlling the story and manipulating things from the future. But if I missed any incredible plot twists, let me know. Drop a comment. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I'm Tim, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Yeah. But in the end, it always ends with the end. So let's not pretend we can always start anew. We can do it again.